In this video, we're going to solve equations by factoring out the greatest common factor. So solve the following equations, or solve the following equation. We have x to the fifth equals 36x cubed. So the first thing we want to do is we want to get this polynomial set equal to 0. And to do that, we're going to subtract 36x cubed on each side. So I'll end up with x to the fifth is minus 36x cubed is equal to 0. Now that I have it equal to 0, I can find the zeros of this polynomial, or the x-intercepts. And to find that, I'm going to need to do some factoring here. I can see that I have x cubed that's a factor of both x to the fifth and negative 36x cubed. So I'm going to factor out the x cubed from each term. That's going to leave me with x squared here. X cubed times x squared is that x to the fifth number. Minus 36. When I factor x cubed out of negative 36x cubed, this is all I have left. Right? The x cubed cancels out of that piece, and that's equal to 0. Now I have two things being multiplied. I have a monomial times a binomial here, and this multiplication is equal to 0, which means one of these two things has to be 0. So I'm going to use what's called the zero product property, ZPP, and say that x cubed is equal to 0, or x squared minus 36 is equal to 0. Then I can solve from there. Cube root each side. I get x is equal to 0. Or x squared minus 36, I can write that as x squared equals 36 when I add the 36 over. Square root each side, I get x is equal to 0. Or I would have x is equal to plus and minus root 36 when I square root each side. So that here. Plus minus, and this would be x equals 0, or x is equal to positive 6, so we'll say plus 6, or x is equal to negative 6. So I have three possible solutions there. I have three solutions there for this polynomial. Let's do a second example. It's a similar example. We have 4x to the fifth equals 100x cubed. First thing I'm going to do is subtract over the 100x cubed. So I get 4x to the fifth minus 100x cubed equal 0. I subtracted 100x cubed here and 100x cubed here. Now I'm going to, I think I'll divide each term by 4 because I don't like that leading coefficient there. So I'm going to divide by 4 for each piece. So I get x to the fifth minus 25x cubed equals 0. And then I'll factor x cubed out of each term. So I have x cubed, and when I factor it out of x to the fifth, that leaves me with x squared minus 25. Factor the x cubed out of there, it goes away, it is equal to 0. Now I have to use the zero product property. I got a monomial times a binomial again, so zero product property. And these two things are equal to 0, which is why we're using the zero product property. So I have x cubed is equal to 0, or x squared minus 25 is equal to 0. Cube root each side. So I have the cube root of x cubed is equal to the cube root of 0, or add the 25 over. I have x squared is equal to 25. So I end up with just x is equal to 0 for this piece. Or when I square root each side, I get plus minus 25. So I get x is equal to 0, or x is equal to the root of 25 is 5. So x equal to positive 5, or x is equal to negative 5. Those are my three solutions.